there'll be a day when Bitcoin ETFs have already blasted past gold, and then Bitcoin ETFs trade more than the S&P index ETFs. And there'll be a day, I believe, when Bitcoin ETFs will have more capital than SPY or the S&P index. And on that day, the people at Vanguard will say, oops, I guess all the money just shifted out of equity. But that day won't come tomorrow. It'll take many, many quarters. And by the time we get to 2034, I think you can say the high growth institutional adoption phase of Bitcoin has now moved to just the growth phase.
Wait a minute, everyone. Welcome to Bitcoin Zella, your platform for daily cryptocurrency analysis and news. Our mission is to keep it simple. Bitcoin Zella offers engaging information that is easy to understand. Our analysts keep their eyes on the latest news to provide valuable insights via email. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Join our community of 10,000 subscribers and experience the new edge with Bitcoin Zella. Subscribe now. In today's video, Michael Saylor, Lyn Alden, and Lawrence Lepard talk about Bitcoin as a new asset class within a global monetary system, and why Bitcoin will change everything we know about investing. Saylor also gives us his prediction for the next 10 years, and why it's the best time to invest into Bitcoin. So without wasting any time, let's dive into the video.
There's like a time preference thing. So, a lot of governments will look and say, oh, look, this is a threat to our currency. This is a threat to XYZ. And so their first instinct is to push back on it. But that's very short-term thinking. If they said, look, if we look out 5, 10, 15 years, do we want to be a hub that portable capital wants to come to, that people want to live, that people want to do business in, or do we not? And so I think that if they just look out longer, just to not go down that short-term approach of trying to make those capital controls, those firewalls, to try to make the frictions, because we've seen in multiple countries now, it just doesn't work. And it's just better to just get in front of that and just embrace it.
Guys, we need to have a serious talk here, and the talk has to center around the fact that Keynes has driven us into a monetary cul-de-sac. And there's no way out. We're in a box canyon in a plane. We're going to crash into the wall. And the reason is that the Keynesian system is built on fractional reserve lending, which requires increasing debt consistently in order to generate any form of GDP growth. And we've gotten to the point at which the efficiency of that debt is extremely low. And so it's growing in a way that cannot be supported by the underlying GDP. And therefore, the two possible outcomes are sovereign debt collapse or very, very high rates of inflation, potentially hyperinflation. And so the money is badly broken, and we need to fix it. And we need to fix it in a fair way, as fair a manner as we can for everybody. And that is to return to some kind of a sound money standard. And Bitcoin, in my opinion, is the correct sound money standard. You read Jeff Booth's book, you'll understand why we need a deflationary currency rather than inflationary currency. Keynes was wrong. And really, money is all about matching efficiency. I mean, the amount of money saved and the amount of money invested should balance one another at what is said, it's the interest rate. That's classical economics. And that's really what we've gotten away from. The central banks control the interest rates, they manipulate it. We had 0% interest rates for years and years. And this is why we have this boom-bust cycle. It's creating enormous wealth inequality. And it's why you've got everybody screaming at each other and wondering what the hell is wrong. And what the hell is wrong is that the money is broken. So we need to fix the money. And if you want to be a true leader of your country, you need to educate all your people as to why we need to fix the money, how we're going to fix the money, and reset the currency so that we've got a system that's stable and sound for everybody.
Bitcoin starts a new week with bulls gunning for all-time highs as February's BTC price transformation continues. After a solid monthly close, the first weekly candle of March completed comfortably above $60,000. As anticipation mounts of what might come next, sellers tacitly accept that there may be nothing in the way of Bitcoin heading into price discovery. The scenario marks one of the most optimistic outcomes for 2024 and is considerably better than what many traders and analysts expected. That said, plenty of volatility hurdles remain in place between now and the end of the month, and April's block subsidy halving remains a pivotal moment in itself. The action gets underway almost immediately with the United States Federal Reserve, due to provide guidance on the state of the economy. Should this offer no surprises for risk asset traders, crypto already has enough to contend with. The exchange-traded funds, ETF, may continue buying BTC. Still, the average investor is now acting out of extreme greed. Can the market trajectory sustain its recent trend, or is a more substantial correction and consolidation period possible?
I wouldn't even frame it economically. What I would say is you're responsible for a nation. The Romans were great because of their roads, and that gave them land power. And then the British Empire was great because they had ships and they could find longitude on the ocean, and they had ports, and they had good rivers and harbors, and that gave them sea power. And then at some point, we invented the airplane, and we had airports and aircraft, and that created air power. And you can't imagine a great nation without an airline. That's why the nations subsidize the airlines. And then along comes generators and coal and oil, and we create electrical power. And then there's nuclear reactors, and you have nuclear power. And then we create rockets, and the great nations launch rockets and satellites into space, and that gives you space power. And as you could see, your nation doesn't have a future if you don't have air power, space power, electrical power, land power, sea power. Even today, the United States is based on air power, sea power, space power, land power, and Bitcoin represents digital power. And if you want a future for your country, you need to harness digital power. It is the future. If I have an airplane, I can go around the earth in one day, and it's very visible to someone, right? If you have a ship, you can haul 1,000 tanks, and it's very visible. When you have a road, you can move an army of 100,000 people. It's very visible. Well, what can I do with Bitcoin? I can move $100 billion in 30 minutes on Sunday afternoon from you to me and back again, and you can't do that with any other technology. And if you don't think that's important, then give me the $100 billion.
Barely $5,000 separates bulls from new all-time highs, capping year-to-date gains of over 50% on-chain statistics, resource CoinGlass confirms. Spot Bitcoin ETF have triggered a decade-long institutional gold rush for Bitcoin, which will be aided by the rise of autonomous artificial intelligence, according to MicroStrategy Chairman Michael Saylor. During a panel discussion at the Bitcoin Atlantis conference on March 1, Saylor argued that after the launch of Spot Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin has entered a period of high-growth institutional adoption. I think that we're in the Bitcoin gold rush era. It started in January of 2024 and will run until about November of 2034. Saylor said that by the year 2035, 99% of all Bitcoin will have been mined, and that 2035 will mark the start of the growth phase. Today, roughly 93.5% of the 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be issued have been mined, according to Buy Bitcoin Worldwide. When they can buy via their bank, their institutional wirehouse, their prime broker, they will make a $50 million decision in 1 hour. Saylor believes almost all banks will eventually be pressured into custodying Bitcoin because their largest clients demand it. You're going to see resistance drop. There will be a day where Bitcoin blasts past gold and trade more than the S&P Index ETF. And do not forget to subscribe to Bitcoin Zella. The most important news will reach your inbox on a daily basis and for free. Not know why you haven't subscribed yet? If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more daily updates. Remember, knowledge is power, and we're here to empower you on your financial journey. Until next time, happy investing